Konoha has a long history of getting things wrong when you think about it. They got it wrong with Boruto Uzumaki, the kid that they blamed for a disaster he didn't cause, for the death of a Hokage that he didn't cause, the boy that they feared instead of trying to understand him, the orphan that they isolated while they demanded at some point later on, Naruto save me, and now they're doing it all over again. Only this time the person standing alone, he isn't shouting for attention, he isn't painting the Hokage monument to get noticed, he isn't pulling pranks like that, he isn't begging for people to acknowledge him. He's walking away quietly, he's removing himself from the situation, he's literally running for his life in some cases, after saving the very people that have called him a traitor. Because Boruto Uzumaki, he's not trying to be a Hokage. He's trying to be something far more dangerous when you think about it, which is exactly what we're talking about in today's newest Naruto Explained video, where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, takes a closer look at the moment with Boruto and the Konoha shinobi to explain to you why you should care about that brief interaction, because it is yet another seed being planted to come home in the future after it's been watered and nurtured and eventually allowed to blossom in the narrative itself. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to check out the chapter review, which will be linked down below for your convenience if you've not seen it just yet. So obviously Boruto doesn't want to be Hokage, he wants to be the Shadow Hokage. If you pay very close attention to Boruto Two Blue Vortex, especially chapter 30, something incredible is happening beneath the surface. Boruto is very slowly regaining everything that he's lost, not by fighting Omnipotence head on, because Boruto understands something that I still see people in the comment section that don't get, which is that he can't directly attack Omnipotence. It is not like a genjutsu. Instead, he's doing it following the one path that God-like powers they can't overwrite. Boruto is just creating new memories. He's creating new experiences. And that's what makes this so beautiful, because it's Naruto versus Boruto in a way, but by framing it like this, I'm more so saying it's the same curse, but it's a different path. And that's what makes it so beautiful. Naruto and Boruto are walking eerily similar paths when you think about it, but they're also responding to them in completely opposite ways. And it just builds on what Kishimoto said in 2015 when he purposely said that he made Naruto and Boruto distinctly different characters, despite the fact that there are some overlapping characteristics, because obviously you're going to take on characteristics of your parents. Naruto was hated because of something inside of him, the nine-tailed fox, a power he never asked for, a tragedy that he didn't cause. He quite literally didn't cause it. The village blamed him for the death of the fourth Hokage, Naruto's own father, and worst of all, everyone in the village outside of those who knew the truth knew that Naruto didn't kill his father. They knew that Naruto's father was the fourth Hokage. The rest of the village, they were in the dark. They saw Naruto as a reminder of a walking disaster. In some early translations of the manga, they flat out called him the nine-tailed fox itself. And yet Naruto still wanted to be the Hokage, not for power, not for control, but because becoming Hokage meant forcing the entire world to finally acknowledge him. But Boruto doesn't want that spotlight at all. He doesn't want statues, he doesn't want his face carved on the monument anywhere, he doesn't want cheers, he doesn't want validation. He just wants to stand behind the Hokage, protecting the village without being seen. That's the whole reason he wants to be a Shadow Hokage. He wants to be like Sasuke. And that's what makes what happened with Omnipotence even more crueler, because while it is preparing him for that Shadow Hokage role where he's going to be in a situation where he does things that might be unpopular, where he does things that don't necessarily get him any credit for them, but it's cruel in the sense that Omnipotence didn't just steal Boruto's reputation, it outright stole his identity. He is quite literally in the shadows right now. And that's why I think the Omnipotence is kind of brilliant for a plot twist, because it didn't just flip Boruto and Kawaki's roles. It rewrote reality as people understood them. To the world, Kawaki became Naruto's true son. Didn't matter that he had the body of a cyborg. Didn't matter that he had Ishiki's chakra and not Momoshiki's chakra. Didn't matter that Naruto's holding baby Boruto in photos, not a baby Kawaki. Omnipotence scrambled their brains. Didn't matter that someone like Kashin Koji saw Omnipotence take place and in an alternate timeline knew what was happening in his memory. Kawaki was Naruto's child and Boruto was the kid raised by Kara. That's very heartbreaking when you think about it. Boruto, a kind-hearted kid, became an ungrateful outsider. Boruto, a kind-hearted kid, became Naruto's killer. a traitor who betrayed the village that took him in. And the most terrifying part, you can't logic your way out of omnipotence. Again, facts do not matter. Evidence does not matter. Testimony by people that know the truth does not matter. I've seen some of you guys in the comment section say, why don't they just look at the Academy records? It does not matter. I will link my Omnipotence Explained video down in the description box because I've gotten at least 100 comments since the last chapters come out where people are saying there's a plot hole that Shinobi Mission records that don't have Kawaki's name on it should be something that reverses omnipotence. That's not how it works. So even when confronted with contradictions, people, they subconsciously rewrite logic in order to protect their alternate memories, or rather their altered memories. Forgive me, misspoke here. This means that Boruto isn't just fighting information per se. He's fighting reality itself, and yet he refuses to hate the village, just like Naruto once refused to hate the village, or at least Naruto tried. Go back to the Waterfall of Truth. There's a parallel there. And Boruto having a silent burden, that makes this so much more rich. Naruto eventually had to face the truth. At the Waterfall of Truth, he was confronted with the part of himself that hated the village, the part that resented being blamed, being alone, the part that wanted revenge, the part that felt abandoned. Those are all human emotions. You can't blame Naruto for it. That's one of the most beautiful scenes that we have in Naruto's manga. For me, it's one of the 5 most emotional scenes in the story itself. But Boruto, he hasn't had that moment yet. But let's be real, Boruto is human. He lost his father, he lost his mother. He knows they're alive, but he's blamed for their death. He's lost his home. He can't even step foot inside the home that he grew up in. Notice when he was watching Himawari, he was masking his chakra and he was watching from a distance. He can't even go into his own childhood bedroom. He's lost his name. He's lost his future in so many ways. And everyone who he's ever loved, they all believe that he deserves it outside of the people that know the truth. If Boruto feels bitterness, any anger, resentment, it would be completely understandable. And yet, Two Blue Vortex shows us something extraordinary. Boruto has never taken it out on the village. Instead, he protects it. And that brings me to why you should really care about chapter 30. There's a moment that does not get enough love based on some of the interactions I've seen. So in chapter 30, Boruto is captured by Konoha shinobi. They call him a traitor. They treat him like a criminal. They drain him of his agency by wrapping him in those chains. Boruto's sword drains some of their chakra, and when he escapes, he takes his sword. That's where it's very quietly brilliant. He doesn't necessarily do it to show mercy, but he does it to protect them. Leaving that sword would just further continue draining the chakra of the guy that was holding it. While he did drop the sword and Boruto escaped, these are Konoha shinobi. Jonin in particular, Jonin outside of the elites are pretty much stupid. They would have picked it back up. They're like that kid that puts their hand on the stove and goes, oh, that's hot, and then they do it again. Boruto, instead of that, he begins to remove himself of the situation. He compliments the guy on his skill, and he warns him, stay away from them Shinju. If you encounter them, you need to flee, because if you die, Konaha will lose a valuable asset. You're a pretty skilled guy. It was not any you deserve to die. Not that it serves you right. No snarky remark. Kid Boruto, had he been in that situation where the guy picked up the sword and they were calling him a traitor and etc., Kid Boruto would have said the most nasty, snarky comment ever. I love Kid Boruto's sarcasm. But in this moment, what Boruto said was, hey, it would be a waste for the village to lose such a talented shinobi. That line matters a lot. Boruto doesn't see enemies. He sees future protectors of Konoha, even when Konoha doesn't see Boruto for who he is. That moment is very important. This isn't Boruto being nice. This is Boruto doing something far more strategic when you think about it. Because Boruto understands something crucial about omnipotence. Something that, again, I see a lot of fans miss. You cannot overwrite old memories. Ada says it herself in the manga. The only way that you can truly reach somebody by omnipotence is to create new memories and to take that risk to try to create new memories. And as we've seen with people like Shikamaru and Sasuke and Kashin Koji and Amato, If they can find a strong enough anchor to hold on to, they can actively fight, but they have to actively fight. It's every single day, every single moment. As Boruto told Shikamaru, it does not matter how many times you've been told omnipotence. You will forget the very concept of it unless you actively fight it. You just have to trust me. That is how Shikamaru was shown, quite literally, unable to recall the word omnipotence. And he came to the conclusion, I just need to trust Boruto and Kawaki switch places. He's not fighting his memories, he's holding on to an anchor. And that's what I like here. New moments, they don't contradict the past. Instead, in a way, they compete with it. And Boruto's doing just that. He's planting seeds, but not forcing change itself. He's like that patient gardener who's just waiting for the flowers or whatever it is he's got in the flower bed that is growing. He's just waiting for it to eventually blossom. These shinobi, they're gonna go back to Konoha. They're gonna be confused. They tried to attack Boruto Uzumaki, the traitor, and yet he spared them, he protected them, he complimented them, he warned them. He tried to save their lives by giving them advice to avoid the Shinju. That contradiction doesn't break omnipotence, but that new memory is going to linger. And over time, those moments are going to stack up. They're going to realize, hey, my memory has Boruto as being this guy that does not give two fucks about anything in Konoha outside of Naruto. And yet, ever since he's come back on the scene, he's just been saving the village left and right. What's going on here? This guy saved my life. What's going on here? Boruto, in a lot of ways, is doing the same thing Naruto did. Ibiki Ebisu's flashback in the pain arc shows us the perspective of people in the village. They heard all of Naruto's exploits and their perception of Naruto changed over time. Naruto, he won hearts loudly. He won hearts through his action. But Boruto, he's doing it quietly. Naruto earned loyalty by being impossible to ignore, by overcoming impossible odds time and time again. Naruto was willing to scream. He was willing to fail publicly and scream again. He was willing to suffer visibly. We all remember Naruto with that popsicle sitting on the bench crying. But Boruto earns loyalty by being impossible to forget. That's why him showing up in all these different scenes is so important. It's for as much as I personally hate Boruto saving the day as much as he does, which missed me with he's the main character bullshit. There are ways to do that without running into the ground. For as much as I dislike it, I understand the narrative payoff for it. These small acts, these private moments like we just saw, these personal interactions, they all add up. He isn't trying to convince the village. He's convincing individuals one person at a time, which is exactly how a Shadow Hokage should operate. You're not flashy. You don't necessarily draw attention to yourself. You go step by step for as long as it takes until you can accomplish the goal. And if it means being hated in the process, you take that hate and you shoulder it. We have unexpected allies being set up for Boruto. Look at the pattern that's believing here. Sarada believes in Boruto, despite Omnipotence telling the world around her that she shouldn't. She never lost faith. Sumire, she understands the mechanics behind Omnipotence, but she's in the same boat as Sarada. She never lost faith in Boruto. Inojin has been shown hesitating, but he's now trusting in Boruto despite Inojin's memories being altered. The same thing with Shikadai, the same thing with Chocho. Likely going to be the same thing with Himawari. Shinobi, we see them. They hesitate when Boruto spared them. They're like, wait a second, how come you're not killing us? Over time, civilians are going to hear these conflicting stories. Yeah, Boruto the traitor was in the village, but he didn't attack it. He was trying to save us. There are testimonies that are being built right now. None of these people are going to snap out of omnipotence like that, but they don't need to. Again, you cannot reverse omnipotence in a way like you do with genjutsu. Knowing that you're under a genjutsu allows you opportunity to reverse it. Knowing you're under omnipotence does not allow you to reverse it. Momoshiki tells us that, and Momoshiki, there's a tendency to apply the unreliable narrator. Momoshiki's not an unreliable narrator in this instant. He does not have a history of telling half-truths. He tells us the information as he knows it. He's not like Amato. Amato is an unreliable narrator because Amato purposely withholds information. We have not had that with Momoshiki. He's gotten stuff wrong, but he has not purposely withheld information like that outside of when he gaslit Boruto. But in that moment of anger, that was raw, honest Momoshiki. You can tell just based on the context. What Boruto's doing right now, he's just setting up that moment of hesitation. Hesitation is where alliances are born because hesitation allows people to realize they're not seeing the whole picture. Boruto isn't reclaiming his past per se, but he is building a new one. It's part of his hero's journey. He has lost everything that he took for granted, but he is now being given the opportunity to regain everything that was stolen from him. Naruto wanted to be acknowledged, but Boruto understands something darker. He runs a chance of never getting that life fully back that he had. So instead, he's building something new. If it means that he can never return home, he will take it. It's kind of heartbreaking that he gets the opportunity to live out his dream of being Shadow Hokage, but potentially never get to return home. Boruto's building a reputation from action, not from legacy. Through trust earned quietly, not demanded boldly, not demanded through bold actions. Loyalties being forged in moments that people won't see. That's why Boruto's journey, it might be more tragic than Naruto's when you think about it, because it is more mature than Naruto's was. And that's what makes Boruto dangerous as a character, in my opinion, because he's not rebelling. He's not lashing out. He's not even correcting people per se. He's letting the world realize the truth on his own. And when that happens, when Konaha finally realizes what it is that they've lost, Boruto's not going to need forgiveness. He's already going to have allies, and it's going to put Kawaki in a very interesting space, and it's going to put Boruto in a very interesting space as well, because we all know Boruto's going to try to stand up for Kawaki when that happened. If I had to describe Boruto's entire journey in one sentence, I would say that he's the shadow that protects even when hated. Naruto became Hokage by standing in the light and then eventually being the light itself. Boruto is becoming the Shadow Hokage. He is protecting the village even when it hates him. And that might be the most Naruto thing that he's ever done, because he inherited not Naruto's power per se, but he inherited his strong heart. Even when the world turns its back on Boruto, Boruto's still choosing to protect it. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking on the left to check out that chapter review, or clicking on the right to check out more videos from my other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto anime and manga.